You have to be extreme with your dreams. That's what I tell people, man. Like, people always ask me, what would have happened if you wouldn't have been Navy SEAL? I would have died. Like, and people go, no, seriously. No, I'm serious. I trained for 4 years. It was like watching Rocky 3. I went off in the Navy training when everybody else was doing stupid things. I put a picture of a trident up, and I just looked at it and I said, one day I will have that tattooed on me, and I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays, where we talk about 3 topics: how to make money, how to invest money, and how to give it away to charity. We are co-hosted here with the real Tarzan. Real Tarzan makes content for animals for the last, I don't know, he's been dealing with animals for
7 years.
But you've been dealing with animals for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Speaking of a long career, we have a gentleman here that has been ex-Navy SEAL, ex-CIA, and everything in between to help people, help protect our country. I'm very excited to have him here. He makes great social media content. He yells at the members of the Operation Black Site for me. He makes things happen. And when I'm running the events and running the masterminds, I know I can just look at him or just kind of glance over, and then things happen right away. Please welcome Mr. Ray Cash Care.
Woo! Thanks for having me, guys. I'm pumped.
Wow.
It's been a heck of a day, but I'm pumped to be here. This has been, I told you, the bucket list, so I'm ready.
What did we do today? What is Operation Black Site?
Man,
why are you a part of it? Operation
Black Site is the mecca of just a culmination of bringing great people together, and it's broken down, right? So it's a 2-day event at this amazing facility that you have. We go over tactics, weapon training. We do Kill House, which is CQC, CQD, close quarter defense, close quarter battle, basic marksmanship, building confidence. We do, what else do we do? We do fighting with Michael Chandler, Tim Kennedy's there with me. We got Tony Blauer, Steve Eckert. But it's really a networking and society, if you will, of individuals. And we do morning PT. I lead PT, and I was just talking to Tarzan, where individuals, no matter how successful they are, right? There's a lot of people that still have shit going on in their lives. Sure. It doesn't matter, right? Whether you make this or you make that. And we had an individual that really had a breakthrough, so much so that he wants to bring 2 of his other friends here, or employees, because he was going through PT, and I said, embrace the pain, embrace the suck, and let it happen. And he was just going, he goes, man, I'm really having a moment of clarity. And I'm like, I get it. That's people that are, obsessed with being successful. We seek out the pain, and physical pain, it was not something he's used to. Obviously, he makes a lot of money. He seems to have his shit in order, but I told him you really got to dial on that PT. So the doctor's orders were, listen, join up to a gym, work out, do jiu-jitsu, eat better, and get your butt in shape. So that's what we do. Why
do business people or people in general need events like this? Whether it's Operation Black Site or a different event, military training, gun range training, fight training, why do people need this in our country to get trained and get good?
Well, I think number one, you've got to have the situational awareness. This country is imploding under it right up before my eyes, and I think you can never be too prepared. So I always say, don't train for anything, so train for everything. And a lot of individuals that come here, because they're successful at something, they get complacent. Yep. They get lackadaisical. We sit and we have these conversations with these individuals, and I'll say, hey, listen, you make a shit ton of money, but how much time are you spending with your family? Do your kids want to be around you? Does your wife love you, right? Are you going on vacations, right? Are you doing these type of things? And a lot of times I hear, yeah, this is great, but everything else sucks. And I'm like, so what I think we do here is it's almost like a master reset, if you will, right, of the mind, body, and soul. And I'll make no mistake about it. This is not a glamorous thing. I mean, it was hot as hell today, and we've got, tons of millionaires out there just grinding, but they understand why they're doing it. They're doing it to better themselves, right? Because everything in life, I think, is a perishable skill. We as humans have basic instincts. We're animals. I think you can relate to that, right? And everybody has mannerisms and stuff. And I can speak for Tim and I, we put individuals in scenarios where they're not comfortable, because I want people doing hard shit, right? Too many people are going through life with these blinders on, if you will, because they've got money as a cushion. We take all that away here. We break you down to the bare essentials, right? And we make you very uncomfortable, and you see how people react. The first time, it's not pretty, right? It never is. But after we run them through countless, evolutions and drills, you see this transformation. People that have come back for the second time. I'll say her name right here, Miss Hannah. She has just multiplied, right? Not with her confidence, with her self-esteem, with the physicality. She's working out, and not to mention she's a killer in the kill house right now, but we make fun of her. Yeah, the kill house. She's in there shooting, moving, and communicating, and that's what life's about. Shooting for the stars, right? Moving with a purpose and communicating with as many human beings as you can, making an impact.
So there's a famous quote, "Be hard to kill."
Mm.
Why do you think that's important? Why should people be hard to kill in our society?
Because too many people just lay down and die. We talked about it today, divorce rates. Over like half of America divorce. It's so easy to quit. David Goggins, I love Dave. He says negativity is the most contagious thing in the world. Fuck that. No, it's not. It's the words, I quit. And what I try to do when I'm out here teaching people is I tell people, I'm the biggest fucking quitter you've ever met in your life. And they look at me, they're a Navy SEAL. I quit all the toxic people in my life. I quit all the toxic things in my life. I quit all the self-doubt and the self-sabotage. I've had conversations with both of you guys, and I'm seeing a difference. The transformation is from within, and that's why I want to be hard to kill, because too many people give up too easy. And I always try to take a negative, Dan, and turn it into a positive. I did a speech last week, and I told everybody I'm the biggest fucking quitter you met, and it was like, oh. And I'm like, wait, let me explain. I quit the booze. You're not seeing me drinking at your events. I'm not going to drink, right? I quit making excuses of why I'm not making I know we're going to Money Mondays, why I'm not making the money we're making, right? I have literally in the last 2 months, followed equations and formulas from people who've been there and done that, and made, for me, almost 80 grand. That's a good 2 months for me.
Fantastic.
That ain't Dan F money, but hey,
It's fantastic.
It's great. Wes is one of my coaches. I told him, I looked him right in the eyes today, and I said, I'm coming for you. And he said, come get it, baby.
Good.
I love it,
Good.
Love it.
What is the difference between someone that can get through training, get through the military, or become an elite like a Navy SEAL?
I honestly feel, and I know this is going to sound like a cliche, it's understanding what your why is, right? It's having that mental fortitude. I literally am my biggest fan and my worst enemy. But the one thing that I've learned is my why is me. Everybody, when I ask them, like, what's your why? I want to be a Navy SEAL. That's not it. How do you become a Navy SEAL? By being a better you. So that's the one thing that people need to understand. They get it twisted. These are the same motherfuckers that if I pour a glass out, I say, what's that glass? They say half empty. These are the guys that are just waiting to die. I'm not going to lie to you. Till I was 45, even as a Navy SEAL, I was looking at that glass half empty. Bedros is the one that told me, with his giant fingers, it's half full. I'm like, well, what happens when the glass gets full? Let's find you a bigger glass. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm surrounding myself with people who have bigger glasses, they say pick 5 of your friends and there's your future. We had 40-some people, 50 people out there who all are like subject matter experts, schmees at what they do. Being able to rub elbows with these people, talk to them, just ask them questions, it's amazing. And I'm seeing the benefits of it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I tell people, don't give me your phone number because I will text and I will call. I've done it. I know you're busy. You too. I call. I text. I want to learn. That's what I'm going to keep doing. How
hard is it to become a Navy SEAL?
It's pretty fucking hard. A wise man, Mr. Grover said it best. The worst, 146 of us started my buds class. 16 made it.
Whoa.
So even those
Really?
100 and however many that didn't make it are still some of them world-class athletes, wrestlers, this, that. We are less than 1% of the human population that gets it done. And I'm going to tell you both this right now. Everybody thinks it's because, oh, you're a physical savage. No, I'm a mental and emotional savage.
Right.
I can stay calm in the storm, right? Going through that shoot house, I stay calm. But you have to be extreme with your dreams. That's what I tell people, man. Like people always ask me, what would have happened if you wouldn't have been Navy SEAL? I would have died. Like, and people go, no, seriously. No, I'm serious. I trained for 4 years. It was like watching Rocky 3. I went off in the Navy training when everybody else was doing stupid things. I put a picture of a trident up, and I just looked at it, and I said, one day I will have that tattooed on me, and I do. One day I will do that. And it was just every day of just being repetitive, being disciplined, and being ruthless, fucking ruthless with my pursuit of success. And again, my success at that time had nothing to do with a monetary standpoint. It was, I want to be a part of something better than me. And that's why I love being a part of Operation Blacksite. We are changing lives, right? We have saved lives. I don't know if you guys know that. We have. I watched it happen right within my eyes when the guy just had a moment. I said, take all the time you need, brother. No one's going to yell at you. He came up and thanked me afterwards. That's what it's about,
So with different divisions, Navy, Marines, Army, etc., even police department, fire department, why is it important for more people to consider joining one of these services?
Well, that's a great question. Here's the problem with America right now. There's no discipline, and the reason is because people aren't being pushed to do anything, right? Let's rewind the clock back to an 18-year-old me. I was a punk, getting in trouble. And if I didn't do something with my life, I was going to go to jail. Nowadays, let's fast forward, 18-year-old kids. And listen, I got no problem if you want to sit and play video games, if you got your shit dialed in, if you're making money and you're providing. But these kids are sitting on their ass doing nothing, and because there's no ramifications for anything. If I had my way, if I was the president of the United States, some of these countries, they have what's called conscripts, where between the ages of 18 and 21, you have to do mandatory service if you do not do like college, a trade school, or something, right? I tell you what, if I could go back in time again, I would have went to a trade school. Like, people think that a trade school is a joke and a college is this. I can take $100,000 and give it to you right now, and you can tell me something for 4 years. I may regurgitate it, I may not, but I can teach me a specific skill set. Right?
In 1 to 2 years, yeah.
Making money is a craft, right? Instead of me sitting here listening to somebody who's never done anything except read a fucking book and tell me how it's going to be done. I've done that. I've gone to counselors before with PTSD. Do you have PTSD? No. And why are we talking? That would be like me giving you advice on fucking animals. Are you really going to take me serious?
I listen.
You'd listen. You might hear me. I don't know if you're going to listen. You'd be like, come on. Okay, thanks. But that's the problem. Too many people. The reason why we need the military is simply this. America needs more discipline. It is a great basic form, right? Is your baseline form of discipline. Get in the military. And what's so great about the military is you get out of it what you put into it. All you got to do, man, like Forrest Gump, just show up, do your job, and be a team player, and you can really make, what you want of it. I mean, and I was told from the day I went in I would never be a Navy SEAL. I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't tall enough, and I wasn't smart enough. And I proved them all wrong. But more importantly, I proved myself right. And that's what more people need to do. I tell people, I always say it, I bet on me. More people in America need to bet on themselves.
Yes.
I could sit around and wait and say, I work for Dan. I could sit around and wait for Dan to give me a cool tip, or I can go out and just grind my ass off, and then, eventually, I'm doing it. Like, I listen. You think I don't listen, man. When I'm listening to all you guys talking, I just sit there and take it all in, take notes and learn from it. That's how you get better, man. You can't walk around with an ego or an attitude. It's going to get you fucking nowhere.
Is there any money for 17, 18-year-old that's coming fresh out of high school and going into any form of the military? Is there any money in it? Can they make $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, $80,000 a year? Is there any money?
Yeah, sure you could. You can make a decent living. Remember, you're getting full medical and dental. You make probably $35,000 to $60,000 depending on the rate. But you're getting 3 square meals. You got a roof over your head, and you got a constant paycheck. And I'll tell you what, I will take that versus sitting in mom's basement playing video games, right? And bitching and moaning and griping and aching of why you're not where you want to be. When I look at someone like that, they go, why me? I'm like, why not you, motherfucker? What are you doing? And when I ask people this, because I do coaching programs, their silence is deafening, right? If you sit here and call me out on something and I have nothing to say, You know exactly what I'm telling you with no words need to be said. I'm thinking you are a lazy piece of shit who is just waiting for something to happen. Success waits for no one. I've learned that. You know, I thought when I got out of SEAL teams, I'm Navy SEAL, I'll be successful. When I got out of SEAL teams, I went into the business world working with Bedros. I was like, holy shit. Like, because overseas, you know who your fucking enemy is. In business, you don't.
Right.
Competitors, right? Like, perfect example. There is a million, I know this for a fact, I know there's probably 50 fucking SEALs that want to be where I'm at right now. Operation Black Site. You come try to take it. You won't outwork me. You won't out hustle me. It ain't going to happen. I don't care if you're bigger, better, faster, stronger than me. I will find a way. But that's the mindset, the mentality that you have to climb, you know? I tell every single one of you, I'm coming for you. Don't take it as an insult. Take it as a personal challenge and accept it. That's what I tell people, you know?
So someone wakes up on a Wednesday morning and they just don't feel like it. What do you say to that person?
I tell them, stop being a little bitch. Get up and make it happen, right? Just do it. People that do things when it's comfortable, people that do things when it's convenient, people that do things when it's to their liking are called average. People that do shit when it's hard, right? People that do things when they're sick. You know, and let me tell you what my definition of a savage is. A mom who, like my mom, 2 jobs, 2 kids, single mom, busting her ass. You think there were days, I guarantee there were days my mom didn't want to get up and be a mom, but she did it.
Every day.
Every day, man. Every day.
Never missed a day.
And there's like my wife, man. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's got the toughest job on planet Earth. She's there every day, driving my daughter this, doing that, just pouring herself into my family. That is a savage. A savage isn't someone that just beats their chest. A savage is someone who is disciplined and they have character and morals and they care about people and they want to make a fucking impact in this world. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, people ask me, what is your fear? What's your fear, Ray? It's the same thing. Not getting enough done, and when I die, not leaving an impact. Like I want people to go, holy shit, that guy touched my life in some fashion, no matter what, whether he was funny, whether he was this. That's what I want to do. I mean, millions of people. That's my goal. But dying, and my headstone says, hey, here lies Ray Care. He was a Navy SEAL. Man, don't judge me on what I did. Judge me on what I'm going to do. My job when I get up and I speak is I don't want to tell you, I'm not Al Bundy. Doesn't matter what I did yesterday. What am I going to do today or tomorrow to better myself, create a better relationship between us, right? And create some generational wealth. Because listen, I'm all about being a Navy SEAL, but I'll tell you this right now. I'm starting to like money. I'm looking at even like the color of the money right there. I like it. I fucking love it because it is a vessel for freedom. Mm-hmm. I like that, you know? And I got some advice from a wise man once. He goes, be the guy that takes your family on 3 fucking vacations a year. 3? Why? 1, because you have to. 2, because you want to. And 3, because you're the motherfucking man that can. I've taken my wife on 2 vacations already, my family. And we might do 4 this year. I haven't come up with a cool term for number 4, but I will. But I need it. I need it. She needs it. We need it. And money gives me that freedom. But I also like to do things with money, right? And it doesn't matter if you're giving $100,000 away and I'm giving $1,000 away, right? It might impact us the same way. That's the biggest thing I had to learn is, you know, investments and things like this. Listen, if you put $100,000 and I put $10,000 in and there's a return on it.
It's all relative.
Listen, man, I'll take that shit. I'll take that. Fuck yeah.
Tarzan, it's Wednesday morning. You got to feed 85 animals and you just don't feel like it. What do you do?
Feed them. You know, and when it comes to animals, they come first. They come before me, you know. And anybody out there that's like, there's no money in animals, there's no this in animals, you're right. Your heart's got to be in animals, you know. And there's plenty of days, bro, I don't feel like it. More often than not, you know, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like going out there and checking on this or checking on that or changing that water or thawing those rats out or walking the dog. But I do it every day, all the time, day after day. Rain, sleet, snow, lots of money, no money. I'm going to do it, you know. And like you said, Don't be a little bitch about it.
Yeah. And it's not a habit lifestyle either, right? It's not 2190. I don't believe in that shit, right? You've been taking care of animals for how long?
My whole existence.
Yeah. Right. It's from now until the day you die.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Because if that's your passion and purpose driven, then baby, you got the best of both worlds, right? Because some people are passion driven. They want the cars and the money. They don't put in the work. Some people are purpose driven. I'm doing what I love and getting paid for it.
How do you stay focused? I use this example about you often, and you don't hear it. I've watched you get 140 million views on a video, and then go clean up poop, and then go make another video, get 90 million views, and go clean out water, and you look the same every time.
Every time.
How? Because most people, I work in the social media space. I pay thousands of influencers, and they get 100,000 views on a video, and they're gonna tell people to fuck off in the streets, right? They're the big time now because they got 100,000 views. You go off and get 100 million views, and they go clean up poop. Walk me through the mental process of how do you stay even keel.
Cleaning up poop is the best part of my life because it keeps you grounded. When it comes to doing stuff for animals, they don't do nothing for me. They can't like wake up and give me $1 or make me food or, my greatest thing to them is go in there and clean their fecal matter. Like, hey, you made a mess. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to clean up that water bowl. And the good part of doing all this stuff over and over and over is I get 200 million views a month, 190 million views on one video.
Wow.
And it's just like, okay, what's next? What's the next one?
Yeah.
Where are we going next? How can we get better? Because I've seen other people in other fields of work compound success after success after success. The guys that make the shot or they miss the shot and they're like the same, they're stoic. Same with Dan, I see him, he's a professional gambler. He'll win lots of money and he'll also lose the same exact way. So it's like I also learn from you. I also learn from people in other fields to keep the momentum going no matter what it is. I think it's Mike Tyson. I think Custom Model told him, the best people go from failure after failure without losing enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
I can fail a ton. I'm going to wake up in the morning and clean that poop. That poop keeps me there. I know it sounds weird, like,
No.
oh, this guy's cleaning poop. Where I clean poop with my bare hands. I go buy shovels after shovels, rigs after rigs, garbage cans after garbage cans. I'm going to figure it out, but I'm going to clean that poop, And then one day when I'm a multi-billionaire and I'm living off 10% of it and 90% goes to animals, guess what I'm going to do?
Clean poop.
I'm going to
Clean
clean that poop.
that poop, baby. I love it.
Ray,
Yes, sir.
why is it important for people to invest into themselves? Why should they have coaches? Why should they have mentors? Why should they go to events? Why should they read books?
Man, because you have to rebuild your pack. Like everybody that I know, and I was guilty of it, I call it a person, place, or thing in their life that's a negative entity that's holding them down, right? It's a crutch. It's quicksand. And too many people go through life with, like I said, I'm going to talk about these blinders of negativity, not just, oh, that's okay, I'll accept it. But when you surround yourself with people who are like-minded at a whole different level and they start pouring into you, you start realizing that, holy shit, I've been going through life. Like, I try to put everything in relative with cars, right? I'm a Dodge guy. I have an 8-cylinder vehicle. I've been going through life on like 4 and 6 cylinders. I'm getting by, but it's just, you have to believe in yourself, right? And sometimes we build up so many walls around us. It takes someone who's been there, and you have to find the right coach or mentor that pours into you. Like, I want a mentor, if I mess up, to tell me I messed up,
Sure.
I mean, just, you did this wrong. Don't tell me I'm a fuck up. If you do, tell me why, and I will fix it. And then once you start seeing results, because I'm result driven, baby. When I start seeing, the needle moving in the right direction for whatever that needle might be, right? Then it's addicting. Like I am addicted to being better. I love it. I mean, listen, all human beings are born with that trait. We just hide it behind, all the social bullshit that we're putting up with in life. I mean, like I have a client. She's like 300 pounds. She doesn't leave her house. She never leaves her house. Not for groceries, not for anything. She works at home. And I told her, and I know this sounds cruel, I said, I want you to get up off your ass, and I want you to go to the grocery store, and I want you to buy your own stuff. Yeah, but I don't like the way I look. Exactly. So walk fast, right? I did this with her 6 months ago. She's lost about 85 pounds. 85 pounds. Now, am I cruel for telling her to move her? I did. I told her, move your fat ass. Am I being cruel? She needed that. She needed that mental and emotional smack, if you will, to do that. Because what does she do? Listen, if you pay me to coach you, where I pay a coach, don't tell me what I'm doing right. Don't you dare. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. First time I opened up for Bedros Keuilian, I spoke. And I said, Bedros, you're a $50,000 speaker. I was a 5 at the time. What do you think? He goes, you did great. I said, are you kidding me? You're a fraud. And he goes, what? Like, you're a $50,000 speaker. I'm asking you for advice, not your opinion. And that's what you got. And he goes, oh, you really want to know? And I said, yes, I do. I said, but wait. And I hit record. Go. And he said, you're not mad? Mad? You just gave me $50,000 worth of advice for free. Thank you. Right? And then from there, I started going, holy shit, I applied it and it started working. I got a job for him. And then all of a sudden, he's like, listen, Ray, you are the king of self-sabotage. You self-sabotage yourself. I'm like, you're absolutely right. He goes, but don't be scared. 99% of men in America do this shit. I can't speak for women. I said, well, how do you fix it? Get a coach that keeps you in line. Like a Navy SEAL needs an accountability coach? Fuck yes, I did. But now I did. I learned from it so much. That's what I do. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not a motivational coach. Motivation gets you moving. Discipline gets it done. I do discipline. Discipline, breaking beliefs, and accountability. That's my jam, right? I make people better human beings. The better you feel about yourself, the more risk you're going to take on yourself. I'm living proof. I would never do the stuff I'm doing, right? Going out on my own, branching on my own. I'm scared shitless. But being scared is good. Like, I love it. I love getting up in the morning and wonder what the hell the day is going to bring. I know it's not going to be from lack of hustle, because I'll out-hustle anybody in the room. I might not get the results that you get, but that's just because I haven't honed in my skills yet, right? I'm trying to micro-tweak, ask you for this. And I just have this big fucking tool bag that I use. And I pull it out, or I'll ask for advice. Someone will say, don't do that. Use this instead, right? Use this wrench instead of this wrench. And I use it, man, and I'm turning it. It's working, baby. I love it. I'm so passionate about it. I love it.
For the parents that are listening,
yeah,
how do they make their children be more disciplined?
I love it. So get your kids involved in sports right off the get-go. If they don't want to do sports, enroll them in jiu-jitsu, karate, martial arts, discipline, wrestling, tennis, one-on-one sports where it's you versus you. I love it. Number 2, make your kids do chores. Chores. My daughter has chores. If she gets up and she doesn't make her bed in the morning, I take her phone from her. If she doesn't do this, I take what she loves, and that's her phone. To the point where you can program your children. And again, people are like, you're brainwashing your kid. Listen, if me programming my daughter, who gets straight A's in school, who's doing great, who wants to be successful, who's already like driven to make money, so be it. You can call me the world's worst father. You know what? We need more bad fathers and parents like that. I program people because I learned how to program myself. You don't get through buds, baby, without programming yourself. You think there's days where I want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and do a 4-mile time run? But I'm like, what's the end game? The end game is, right, I'm going to make my dream come true. So that's what people need to do. What else they need to do? Put your kids in camps. My daughter goes to a religious Bible camp. Get away from your parents and experience things with other kids. Too many damn kids are sitting on their ass, and I get it. A lot of parents, listen, if you're hustling and you can't afford it, that's great. We have programs for young men between the ages of 11 and 16. Come to that, called the Squire program. You know, the Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts. There's all these different things that you need to just get your kids up and doing. And listen, mom and dad, you're not a bad parent if you literally push your kids to do it. People need to push. I needed to push. And you're going to need it eventually here too.
The last part of our segments, we talk about charity.
Yes.
Why do you think it's important for humans themselves or for businesses and brands to get involved in charities?
Oh, man. Just because I'll tell you this right now, I'm learning. Giving back feels so damn good. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It feels so good. You know, And again, I don't want to keep talking about B and tooting his horn, but when I did a job interview for him, and he said, you knew this too, he quizzed me. And this is how fucked up the world is. He goes, fill in the blanks, Ray. I said, okay. The more you make, the more you take. No. This happened again and again. Finally, I was like, B, listen, I don't know what else it is. He goes, the more you make, the more you give.
Exactly.
And I said, B, I don't understand. You know what he did? Now, Bedros is all, but the real Bedros leaned over and he goes, because you don't make enough money, motherfucker. And it didn't register for me. And I got goosebumps. So I started making 6 figures, multiple 6 figures. Now I'm writing checks, right? And I don't write them in my name. I write them in my wife's name. My father-in-law died of cancer, leukemia. I'm going to get emotional. It was recent. My mother-in-law died of breast cancer. Nothing. I know it's not a lot compared to some. Nothing makes me feel better than stroking a check for 5 or 10 grand in my wife's name. She doesn't even know, and she's got to get up and speak what's going on. Or giving money to our church to help out kids overseas. It fills a void. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you this right now. I used to be the most greedy son of a bitch with money in the world. And I honestly think if you do good deeds, and it will come back to you tenfold. Right? I mean, it just feels so good. I get so emotional about it. Like they're like, how do you make an Navy SEAL cry? Change someone else's life. And Mr. Pena said it the best. If you don't think money can't buy you happiness, you ain't fucking shopping in the right place. You need money to make a difference in the world. If you don't like the way something's doing or something's happening or whatever, figure out a way to make it. And usually money can do that, right? I didn't like the uniforms at my daughter's cheerleading school. I spent like $900. I changed them. They changed, right? I didn't like this. I don't like that. So I work my ass off and I give back to charities. I love working with kids because there's some kids in America who are just given a shitty hand. Parents died, drugs, alcohol. You've heard the scenario. You've heard this before. I know you have. There's 2 twin brothers. One is a multimillionaire. The other's a drug addict. And you ask them both why. The drug addict says because my father's a drug addict. The multimillionaire says because my father's a drug addict.
Exactly.
That's who I'm going to be. I had a horrible childhood. I was beat. I was abused. I came from nothing. My goal was to make as much money as I could. I only need so much. I don't need fancy stuff. I don't need a lot. What I need is to make an impact and help as many other people as I can. But in return, they need to do the same thing. It just needs to be the ripple effect of positivity.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
We are in a world filled with chaos this year. The media is going crazy. It's making people's minds go nuts. And there's a lot of school shootings. There's a lot of bad things happening in our society. How can people stay calm in the midst of chaos?
Perfect example. Train. You have to train. Come to Operation Black Site. Learn how to defend yourself. Learn how to shoot, move, and communicate like a warrior, right? Stay calm in the storm. It's not going to happen because too many people go through life being a fucking victim because they don't know the tall tale signs. You know when an animal's going to strike. I watched you with that snake the other day. I was scared shitless. You knew. You were like, watch. But the more aware you are of yourself, your abilities and your capabilities, the more you can be. Situational awareness. That's what needs to happen. If it's not this course, go to a course. Learn how to defend yourself. And not only that, for the love of God, teach the people that you love in your life how to do it. My daughter's 13. She knows how to defend herself. My wife does too. The biggest fear I have, Dan and Mike, is I'm away and something happens to my wife and daughter because I'm not there. When I'm home, break in all you want, baby.
Yeah, good luck.
Come on. Unless it's Tim Kennedy, come on in, right? No knock. But it's being a male, being helpless and not being able to defend yourself. And I want to tell you this right now. I'll speak for the men and fathers and mothers. You have an obligation to society to train yourselves up and your children so you are not victims, right? And that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Money Mondays. We are co-hosted here with the real Tarzan. We have a favor for you every single week. We all grew up thinking it's rude to talk about money. And we believe that it's rude to not talk about money. It's a reason that in our society, people don't know about credit, rent, apartments, leases, loans, FICO score. They can't even spell FICO. Like, we have a situation because we're not allowed to ask about salaries or ask about rent or ask what to do if Johnny wants to borrow $500 or Jennifer doesn't pay her portion of rent. We don't know what to do because we can't talk about it. We need to end that. That's the whole concept of this podcast, is to have these discussions. So we want you to have these discussions with your friends, family, and followers. Share the podcast. Share the Money Mondays. Make sure to follow at RayCashCare. Check out his social media. You will thoroughly enjoy it. And if you want to, go visit themoneymondays.com. Make people aware of it. And we will see you next Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays, where we talk about 3 topics: how to make money, how to invest money, how to give it away to charity. The episodes are only 40 minutes because we know that the average commute's around 45 minutes. The average workout's around 45 minutes. So we want to get straight to the point and talk about money. It's important to have these discussions. And today we have a very, very special guest, because this entrepreneur has built a company that has sold over $100 million of flannel shirts and different types of apparel. I'm very excited to ask Danny all things about how he built that brand, how he built that business, because there's very, 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 very few companies that do more than $5 or $10 million in sales. It is really hard to scale to over $100 million. Please welcome Danny, the founder of Dixon Clothing.
Thank you so much for having me today, Dan. I'm honored amongst the guests that you had, definitely, and amongst yourself, to be on here today. Thank you so much.
So my first question is how?
That's a loaded one.
That might take the whole 40 minutes, right?
Right.
All right, so first give us the quick 2-minute bio. That way we can get straight to the money.
All right, awesome. So my name is Danny Dreyer, known as Danny Dixon. So I founded Dixon Flannel Company in 2013. So this is our 10-year anniversary. Nice. A popular kind of motto of our company is $180 in a dream. So that's what I started with. I was working at a motorcycle shop with my pops at the time. I got this thrown on this crazy path of idea that I could perfect the flannel shirt. So it was my side project for, a good, I would say, 4 years while I was still, working full time, 60 hours a week or so. Very driven and, in management and stuff like that while I was out here with Harley Davidson. And then it, finally became that, that aha moment where you're like, am I unemployed or or am I an entrepreneur? And, went all in on the idea, and now have grown to the point where, last year we did $100 million in sales. So, we are largely a lifestyle brand. So we're centered usually around Harleys, hot rods, lowriders. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. But we've gotten to the point where we do so many different products now that we kind of break down the barriers of, of so many different demographics and whatnot. So with the one simple rule is to start with the why and make everything that we make the best that it possibly can be, and try to redefine the basics, if you will.
Yep. So from the make money side, let's walk through. If someone wants to start a clothing line, you started with $180 in a dream. I started my clothing line. I was 17 years old. I was working 3 jobs, saved up a bunch of money, working at Qualcomm stating peanuts and Cracker Jacks here. Yeah, totally. Working at Ruby's Diner with a sailor's cap on, working for a stockbroker at the table. Saved up $43,000 over 3 years of just hustling, working, selling candy at school, etc. And I thought I had enough money that I was like, I got a couple years of overhead saved up. And I was really planning at first to save it for SDSU to go to college. Instead, my $43,000, I ran through it in like 2 months. Right. I got a booth at the convention at Magic, 1999. I'm 17 and a half years old, and I want to talk through like when someone wants to start a clothing line, because I've heard a statistic, around 300,000 clothing lines are started each year. Around 30,000 of them ever make more than 10 grand. Mm-hmm. Around 3,000 of them ever hit more than $100,000, and only 300 ever hit more than 1 million.
Wow.
And obviously, I don't even know the number of 100 million, because we can name pretty much the companies that ever done over more than 100 million in apparel space. So walk us through, if someone says, I want to start a clothing brand, what are your thoughts about what type of money they need to get started, what type of passion they need to get started, what type of information they need to get started?
So my first answer usually is don't.
Yep.
That's what I say. 2 things. Don't buy a bar.
Yep.
And don't start a clothing company.
Yep.
But where it ended up at, if you are driven enough, and I really cannot emphasize this enough, to be resourceful in anything that you do. I think that, a lot of times these days, especially of our younger generation, we forget the resources that we have at our fingertips every day. So when I started, I just really invested mostly in myself and in knowing that I'm a beginner. And getting comfortable being uncomfortable, and realistically being comfortable being the beginner. It really comes down to that, because you feel like a fraud at times because you're like, say you're writing ad copy, for your marketing. You always reference yourself like, we are doing this. We are doing. You're like, I'm just a guy in my garage.
Right. 21 years old.
And you're like, you have to make yourself look big, and then and then once you do get big, you're almost like you want to make yourself look small.
Right.
But realistically, is knowing the types of garments, knowing what your trade is, and really any trade that you're in. You want to invest in your knowledge of it, and so I've felt like I was just obsessed with it, and I'm still just as obsessed with it today. Learning new processes. We make new products not a lot of times just because it's what we can sell. It's because I'm obsessive and I want to know how to make it. It's just like, if it's like slides, like I'm like, I want to know the difference of every slide that's out there. It's like, and I'll have like, 100 slides in there. I'm like wearing Nikes one day and walking around Adidas the next, whatever, trying to check out like what I like and dislike about every single, facet of what we do. And, or like, why are shirts made out of bamboo? Why is this product like this? What can make something not wrinkle? What can make something, it basically, I feel that what you need to do is obsess in whatever you do. You need to be so driven that like your need for oxygen becomes your work, and that's realistically, what I feel like that we really did, and these days, still I feel that my biggest mistakes are, to this day are where our best learning is from, so you just kind of got to go all in.
So I have this line where I say, I obsessively stalk my competitors.
Yes.
Because then you learn about what are they doing right and wrong. What do you like about them? Like you said, with the Nike slides versus these type of slides, like those type of shoes. I look at what are they saying on Yelp? What are they saying on Google about them? What are they saying on Facebook, Instagram, social media, TikTok? Like, what are the comments saying? Like, oh, your flannel shirts do this, or they're this size, or oh, it came in a bad package, or oh, it took 9 days when it should have been 2 days, or I look at all the good things and bad things that people are doing that are my competitors in the space, and I just fix them. I'll give you 2 quick examples. Hoverboards. So I created a hoverboard called U-Wheels. There was 2 other hoverboard companies at the time, $1,500, $1,800. Who the hell can afford a $1,800 hoverboard? Right. What if you have 2 kids? What, are you going to spend $4,000 on hoverboards after tax and shipping? That's crazy. And so I made mine half the price. Actually less than, almost a third of the price. Then I thought, well, I should make extra colors on them and put lights on them so that, you can optionally turn the lights on. Cool, right? That extra feature cost me $8, and now there's flashing lights. It makes it stand out. What else could I do? Speakers. I'm going to add speakers, Bluetooth speakers. Feature cost me $12. This is a product that sells for $600 or $700. I can afford $8 and $12 to add all these features. And all of a sudden, we have this cooler, faster, and wait a minute. It takes them almost 2 months for shipping. That's insane. What kid is going to wait 2 months? Right. Don't even think about that product.
They won't even want
They'll run through 9 toys before then. So we were doing next day shipping.
Gotcha.
And I would buy 8,000 to 12,000 units at a time, have it sit at the warehouse so I could do next day shipping. And we built up a brand that did $5.4 million sales in 80 days out of nowhere with no real startup capital because we just made a better, faster version. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We just made the wheel more faster, stronger. And that happens in all spaces. Same thing with my energy drinks. After clothing, I licensed the trademark Cruiser Daddy. So I own the trademark Cruiser Daddy, and I licensed it out to a bunch of different brands. I licensed it to Starter Apparel for $9.5 million in a royalty deal back when I was 19 years old. That's how I got started, was clothing. And so after a few years, when I was 22, going on 23, when we took it public, I launched energy drink. There's 900 energy drinks on the market. Nothing new is going to happen. But everybody tasted like cough syrup. Monster, Rockstar, Red Bull, etc. had that thick taste. So I hired the best chemist to make it feel like a drink that you could enjoy. All of them had the 8.4 ounce cans. Okay, well, I'll make 16 ounce cans and 8.4 ounce cans so you can choose, but it gives me double the shelf space. The rest of them were $2.99, $3.99, and $4.99. Okay, I'll make mine $1.99 and $2.99. That way it's affordable. I didn't do anything outside of just look at what did people complain about. Some people said I hate it's too big. Some people said I hate it's too small. I'll do both. Some people said I hate it's $4 a drink. Right. Okay, I'll make it cheaper. All I was doing was fixing things, and I've never invented something from scratch. All my business, if you just walk through my career, my online poker site, I just signed Dan Bilzerian, DJ Steve Aoki, a bunch of Playboy Playmates, and made a cool poker site because the other poker sites were just big and boring. And I think if you walk through and what you just said, like just go look at and obsess about something. And I like to obsessively stalk my competitors to learn what they're doing right and wrong. You can research everything online. And then it'll save you a bunch of money, time, and energy because they went through the problems for you.
Absolutely. And which brings up a good point too, and exactly what you're saying. One of the first things that we learn in sales is finding your customer's value. And if we stay inside ourselves only and we're like, hey, like these days my value is time, but that's not everyone else's value. So an easy way of doing that is doing exactly what you said. You're looking at what all these people are saying and what their value is, like, hey, this shirt shrinks, this shirt sucks, the packaging sucks, blah, blah, blah. You're finding the value of all those people and fixing it. That's a very interesting point.
So when it comes to dealing with retailers, do you guys sell to retailers or only online?
We mostly do direct to consumer. We do a little bit of wholesale out there just because, having presence on hangers it is good, but I really like to control the experience of the customer, and so that they feel that passion and they feel it bleed through all the employees and drip down from the top to the bottom. I would say at this point 93% of our business is direct to consumer.
Wow. So for you guys that are listening, if you're considering starting an apparel brand, keep in mind that retailers, they can only carry so much space, right? They only can carry so many brands. So if you ever walk into Nordstrom's, Macy's, any type of clothing store or sporting goods store, you'll notice that there's what's called real estate. And the real estate is usually 4 to 12 feet of space, or what's called a store within store. Store within store would be something like Dixon, that's a bigger brand. They'll actually get like 30 feet or 40 feet or 60 feet or 80 feet if they're lucky. And it looks like a little store that's got a 4-way rack, a shelving space, a wall, etc., and it has the Dixon brand, and it'll have like a stand that has the Dixon thing. That's called a store within store. Oftentimes retail brands actually have to pay for that. Like Dixon would have to pay, hey Macy's, put me a store within store. I'll give you guys $20,000 a store, but you got to buy at least $200,000 of product per store, etc. And that's how they do what's called either a slotting fee, a marketing fee, or a store within store fee. That's how retailers stay in business, is that they're getting paid for the real estate to help pay for their actual real estate. These guys are 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 square feet for a department store. It's very expensive. Here's why. Imagine those 100,000 square foot department stores you walk into. If they're paying $6 a square foot per month, that's $600,000 a month in rent that they got to pay net, meaning they got to net $600,000 a month to just break even. That means they got to do like $2 million in sales a month to break even just to pay their rent, let alone their employees, insurance, overhead, etc. And so if you guys are considering starting a clothing brand, keep these things in mind. Selling direct to consumer, like Dixon mostly does, is much more effective, cost effective, and brain headache effective. And two, when dealing with retailers, let me give you a quick example. Let's say Dixon wanted to sell into Macy's right now. It's January 1st. Dixon would get a purchase order form for $2 million. That means Dixon has to Danny's got to come up with $1 million to make $2 million of clothing approximately, right? $1 million to manufacture, and he's going to get $2 million back from Macy's later. Why do I say later? They're going to pay on either net 30, net 60, or net 90 terms, meaning once Danny ships the product, and they're going to get it around March 1st or April 1st, even though they got an order January 1st, they're going to ship it around March 1st or April 1st, 2 to 3 months later, then the clock starts ticking of net 30 or net 60 from that date. Meaning, Danny might ship on March 1st and then wait 60 days till May 1st to finally get paid from Macy's. Here's the catch. Dixon sells really well. People like Dixon clothing. If he sells through even 15 to 30% along the way, they're going to do a reorder. Guess what? He hasn't been paid for the first order yet. The reorder is always bigger than the first order. The new order is going to be $6 million. What does Danny have to do? Come up with $3 million to make a $6 million order.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a good problem. Still a problem, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's called cash flow. And so you'll see some brands like Dixon hyper-focus on the e-commerce space because it's really hard dealing with retailers because of these net 30, net 60, net 90 terms. The good part about being a retailer is it does add a bit to the brand. People say, oh, available in Macy's, available in Sports Chalet or Costco or Big Five, etc. Those things have a bit of a cachet to them, but not as much as it used to. It used to, you wanted to put in your ad, available at these chain stores, not as much anymore. However, the concept is the same. I want you guys to understand a lot of people here are going to be interested in learning about how to start an apparel brand. When starting it, you're mostly going to focus on the online space. And then when you meet with retailers, you'll be able to have a bit more of a strength in negotiation. If you said, hey, I did 500,000 in sales, they're going to take you more seriously than if you did $0 in sales before you sold online. All right, Danny, when it comes to figuring out profit margins, how high, how expensive you should be, how do people make a decision if they should be a low price clothing brand, a medium price clothing brand, or a really expensive clothing brand?
I think this brings up something that's a multifaceted answer is to always know your demographic. It's so key to know them. How do they operate on a daily basis? How do they think? What are their values? What does home life look like? What do their budgets look like? And whatnot. So personally for Dixon, a lot of it where we started was like, working class, and what we wanted to offer was an affordable piece, and so a shirt sitting at $60, we feel is affordable since it lasts. Now, is it cheap? No.
Right.
Is it affordable? Yes, because since it's a product that will last. If it was a product that could be, just consumed quickly and then, it's gone after a couple washes,
Fast fashion,
then and so then that would make us expensive. So I think that you really have to pay attention to that. And my thing was, instead of hyper focusing on those margins, was really thinking, what can we get by as? Like, where can we get by? Where will we do okay? And say still safely double your money. I would say that's where I try to be at. And then now when making moves is like, if I can break even on something, but I can do it right and I can learn in the process, that's that right there for me these days, just knowledge wise, is good for me. But when starting out, I would say that knowing your demographic is the biggest idea that you have to focus on. Is how are they? Because there's a lot of brands out there in lifestyle spaces that could sell a t-shirt that might be inferior in quality to mine for $120,
Right.
and mine's $25.
Right.
But I know my consumer, and it's gonna get dirty in the garage or in their saddlebag of their motorcycle or something like that, and we want to be able to put a new t-shirt on them all the time, and what they value is not going to be that $120 shirt.
Yep.
And those guys that can do that are genius marketers, and I hats off to them for sure, but my demographic doesn't. So knowing your demographic, absolutely key.
Also, guys, keep in mind, you might not be your customer. When I started my energy drink, I didn't really drink energy drinks. I just wanted to I was making a 0 sugar, 0 carb, 0 calorie drink that was cranberry pineapple because I like the taste of cranberry pineapple. But I wasn't like drinking energy drinks every day. I barely drink them ever, even to this day. I don't really drink them that much. The hoverboard, I played with it and I liked it, but I'm not exactly, I was 35 years old, whatever it was at the time. Like, I'm not like going around hoverboarding all day and night. You have to think about your customer, and it may not be you. And sometimes people get that wrong. They think, I'm just going to make this for me. Well, you might not be the consumers that you're looking for. You might be not the brand that fits what you guys are trying to do. All right, so we talked a bit about the making money side. Let's talk about the investing side. So when it's time to make an investment, let's use your warehouse as an example. You made an investment to build this humongous warehouse. That's where we threw our elevator night event. Thank you for having us there. Where you've got tens of thousands of square feet, and it was too small. And so you made another warehouse down the street that's like a zillion times bigger. So walk us through the investment side of like, okay, we could use a fulfillment house. We could use what's called a 3PL, which is a third-party logistics operation, which is another warehouse. Most brands do that at the beginning. They either ship from their apartment or ship from their office, and then at some point it gets too big. They use what's called a 3PL. Or for Danny and Dixon, they built their own warehouse. I think it's 20,000 square feet, or the first one. That one there.
Oh, the one that you were at last is 50.
Okay, sorry. 50,000 square feet was the small one. And so talk to us about when it's time to make decisions about making investment that you have to grow into most of the time.
Right.
And in your guys' case, you grew into it, and then by the time you were open, it was like, oh, shoot, we need another one down the street.
Absolutely. So in my own case, I believe at first I made a lot of decisions based on emotion and creativity. And the reason why was because for me to be able to focus artistically and creatively, and since I do a lot of that side of it, I had to feel secure. So the first purchase that we made in that building, we put 60% down. Now, from a moneymaker standpoint, is that a great decision? Not really. It's, however, for me, it let me sleep at night and focus on what I knew could make me money. And it gave me more headspace to be able to create. Now I need to make decisions that are money focused, so it's a little bit different. However, the way that we really got there, we started out with a 2,500 square foot warehouse, and that was only because I had maxed out the space, upstairs in my house. My kids didn't even have a place to play because it was like my warehouse, then my garage, and everything else. We moved in like 2,500 square foot warehouse, and then built into a 10, and then made that first purchase. Now, I would never tell people that they should make money choices emotionally, but at that point in time, that's how we did it. But I would say never make money decisions based on ego, trying to have the biggest warehouse,
Yep.
what it looks like, blah, blah, blah. It's like it needs to be what it operates on,
Yep.
and key ingredient being efficiency. What's going to keep you most efficient? So, and you also bring up the 3PL process. That's also a great process, and it goes back to, again, looking at your consumer base and what they value. Our value was getting things out fast. So there's a lot of things that we do in the warehouse that most warehouses don't, as far as the way that we code things and everything, because for us it needs to be speed. They expect stuff fast, and we deliver
sure.
that. And so there's some things there that, like, we could have probably saved a lot of money on, but hey, that speed right there is actually a big key point in our sale. So it's something that we need to focus on. So, since then we had the 50,000 square foot warehouse, which is still headquarters today, is mostly our creative center and event center. And then down the street, we have a 105,000 square foot warehouse that is dedicated just solely to shipping. It's pretty much like a discreet looking building. It's really boring in there, It's just warehouse square footage,
Boxes and tape, tape, and boxes.
Exactly.
So as someone is deciding, okay, I started my brand, I got it up, I'm going to be medium price point, I got my website up, I've done a couple $100,000 in sales. When is it time to consider taking in investor capital? When do they decide if they're going to take in money from their friends and family, or take in money from actual investors or credit investors? Like, when is that turning point, whether it's idea phase, get some sales in? Like, what are your thoughts about taking capital from people along the way?
So what I did then versus what I would do now is completely different. What I focused on before was always doubling down. That money was there to grow us by never spending it. And if I made an expenditure, it had to be something that I knew that there was a return on, and generally it was rolling right back into the company. So I bootstrapped all the way up. I didn't take many loans. Like at first, like the only things I would do is like some of those short-term PayPal loans, just so I could buy some product and they would take it out. But they're at high interest rates, right? So I have said no to a lot of investments, or investors, I should say, just because I wanted to keep us whole forever. And as we sit right now, we stay cash positive with almost no loans. Now, how I would do that differently. If it were someone that was, growing, say at like half the rate we were, I would say, when money's cheap, you better take it and maximize it. And I think that a lot of people that are on your shows have made such wealth off of that principle. And that's something that I look at you guys to learn now, like I look at, because for myself, it was more like I was investing myself into my frame of mind at the time, just to know, like, hey, I'm secure here. I own everything. We're good. However, if you want to make that, when you start, you gamble big, you have to bet in on yourself. And so I think that there's a lot of those lessons that I'm learning now, honestly.
Yep. So when it comes time to investing in scaling, you got to spend money on ads. Whether it's, especially when you're doing it online, you got to spend money on Google and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and like, there's so many different options. But sometimes you get a return on investment, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a ROAS, which is return on ad spend. Sometimes you don't. Like, in my mind, I have a guest that we had recently, my business partner in the past, on different investments. He says, I like to lose money more efficiently than anybody.
Right.
And what he means by that is, let's just use Dixon as an example. Would Dixon spend $100,000 to get $100,000 in sales when they're going to lose $50,000? They might, if they know that their customers return and spend $500 on average throughout the year. If you have a one-time product, you would never spend $100,000 and get back $100,000, because that'd be silly. You lose $50,000, you're going to be broke after a while, losing money. But if Dixon in this case knows, you know what, our customers spend $500 a year on average, it's worth getting them in, even if we lose $50 per person up front, but they spend $500 over the course of the year, I would lose money on that on purpose, knowing that it's worth just getting more and more customers, because people like our clothing, they like the fabric, they like how fast we ship it, etc. So talk us through, as you're growing, because you guys grew so fast, when is it time to spend money on ads? How do you know when to go up or down, and when pour the gasoline on the fire, or put the pedal to the metal, etc.? Talk us through the thought process on spending money on advertising.
I think that spending money on advertising is always worth it. When you're starting out small and you don't have a lot to spend, then I would say, from the clothing side, I would say that you would spend money in physical presence, spend money in influencers, spend money in things that feel organic, if that's what your clientele demands. Because I feel like the space of a brand has to have a feel. What I tell my team, we don't sell products. We never start with the what, start with the why. We sell feelings. And so that's what our marketing does. And so I'm relying heavily on marketing. If I can get behind our marketing, and I can get behind our customer service, and I can get behind, lastly, the product that we actually sell, then at that point, I'm going to double down on everything that I can. And if my return on it is 2 times, if my return on it is 7 times, I'm going to go all in every single time. Or knowing that we might lose on something, and now getting into different influencer spaces and whatnot, I think it's always worth it. But I think that we also have to look at, these days paid ads are everywhere. Yes. And so you have to think outside the box and think how do, knowing what my consumer base wants and desires, how can I be there for them? How can I get in front of them? And sometimes that's not digitally. But if you
sponsor live events,
yes,
throw your own events,
because I think a lot of times that shows the grassroots of your company and what you're into. Say if you're a brand that's heavily into UFC, let's say Sean Whalen, for example, when Lions Not Sheep wants to show who they are, right? They go into
Bare Knuckle Fight Club.
So, in Dixon, we early on were involved in a lot of the motorcycle events, and I never make an investment on a car because investments on auto generally aren't great. But the thing is, for me, I have to look at it as does this show in this section, like this C10 market, are we going to pick up a truck market by showing them that at the core of it, we know everything in this area.
Right.
And same thing in motorcycles. And so we always have to stay fresh and showing that, we're in it, we're still here, and, and this shows it. And so a lot of times on that side of business too, that's an investment, and it's not you showing off your stuff. You're investing in showing your customer base or my customer base, showing them that we're on the forefront, we know what's going on, we're a part of this. Right. And then that way your customer, most of the customers in brand space, they want to feel like they belong. Mm-hmm. And you're letting them have something to belong to, which they're going to want to purchase into.
Sure. So talk us through, you've also done some really cool partnerships. You partnered with musicians, you partnered with athletes. Can you just talk us through a couple examples of a partnership with a musician, an athlete, or a band, etc.?
Yes. So during COVID, what I found was unique was that musicians couldn't tour anymore. Right. So put a lot of them on the sidelines. Suddenly they had a need for me, whereas before I'm just another clothing brand. Right. And so we got involved with them, and one of our biggest ones notable today would be Metallica.
Who's Metallica?
And it's been really cool and unique because again, those are things that open us to to different places. It's been amazing working with them too.
Yeah. The other thing is, once you get a bigger influencer, a big celebrity, a big band, or one of the legends of all legends, Metallica, it makes it really easy to get anybody else.
Right.
And so I say this often. When you're first starting your brand, whether it's an energy drink, a clothing brand, selling pillows, doesn't matter what the thing is, getting into that first retailer or getting that first influencer or getting that first partnership will set you up to get other partnerships, other retailers, etc. And so when I first started the energy drink, I did whatever I could to get into 7-Eleven just to place it in 10 7-Elevens. I got into my first Budweiser distributor. And then in all my meetings, I just said, oh yeah, I got Budweiser distributing. I got 7-Eleven. I got pictures of me in front of the Budweiser truck. I got pictures of 7-Eleven and my drinks on the... It makes it really easy to get into Kmart, Walmart, Target, everybody else, because you're in 7-Eleven, you got Budweiser.
Set the bar high.
Right? So if you can get Metallica, or if you can get your version of Metallica, meaning an influencer, celebrity, partnership, retailer, etc., you are much more likely to be getting into the other competitors. So influencer will much more likely work with you if you have other influencers. Celebrity much more likely work with you if you have other celebrities. UFC fighter will much more likely work with you if you had other UFC fighters or boxers. And so as you guys are thinking about it, whether you do it for free, spend money on it, etc., just try to get those first partnerships or the first retailers or those first deals so you can use that to leverage to get other deals, because people will say yes for this one key reason. You remove the reasons to say no. If I'm already in 7-Eleven and you are Shell gas station, why would you say no? I'm already in 7-Eleven. They paid me. You can see it on the shelf. There's pictures of it. I can show you my sell-through rates for 2 months. Why would you say no? I'm already proven that I'm good in there. Absolutely. I sold my drinks in 55,000 stores, 43 distributors. Back in the days when there was no social media, I had MySpace. Okay. Driving around, I was wrapping semi-trucks and wrapping NASCARs and wrapping freaking Hummers and things like that. I had 93 Hummers driving around. And I was here in Arizona, actually, at the Budweiser distributors, driving store to store, going to Danny's car wash. I was everywhere to sell my drinks. I don't remember, whether I'm delusional or not, ever someone saying no. You know why? I didn't ask. I walked in and said, I'm already with all these distributors. I'm already in these stores nearby. That car wash has me. That gas station has me. How many cases would you like? I don't remember anybody saying no, because I already had the leverage of everyone else already buying from me. Why wouldn't you buy from me? I had irrational confidence because other people bought from me.
Absolutely.
All right, last segment. When it comes to, we talk about making money, investing money, and giving away some of it to charity. Talk us through your thoughts. Why should brands or individuals have some philanthropy or some charity element to their company?
So we're heavily into this, and so I'm glad that you asked.
I love it.
From a money perspective, obviously, it always makes sense. However, it drives me to keep on going. And a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, I think that we can get dried up on inspiration can only go so far. And, everyone asks you, how do you stay inspired? Blah, blah, blah. And it always goes down to your why. You're like, and so for us, we have in our office, it says, grow our support. And that support being in anything that we believe in our ethos as a brand. I think it's very important as a community that you're building at work, or the community that you're building in your customer base as well, is showing them what it's going to get, and then being able to make a difference with that, so we constantly do flannels that that will ally with someone and give the proceeds to the cause that has to do with, and do several different charities and several different type of organizations. Probably choose about 15 to 20 different ones a year and try to change them up every year. It's great for your company. It's great for the people involved in it. But I think as an entrepreneur as well, that's my favorite part of it, and that's the stuff that really drives me, because when you look back on it and somebody told you couldn't do it, it's really cool to show a cool car and it carries zero weight. But when you can look back on it and look at how many lives that you changed and give a purpose to what took all those hours, that is everything. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just watched the Money Mondays. I really want, what is your Instagram handle? I want people to make sure they check it out.
It would be Dixon Flannel Co. DIXXON.
DIXXON Flannel Co. This is really important. I want you guys to check them out on social media. You can obviously trust and enjoy that the brand is amazing because, again, people vote with their credit cards, meaning they've done over $100 million in sales. That's a lot of votes that people have paid to buy their clothing over and over and over the years. So you can trust in the quality, in the brand that he's built. You'll enjoy the products that they created. Outside of just flannel shirts, they have new products as well. So make sure you check them out, support them and their brand. But also see how they built that. Like, watch their social media, check them out. When I talk about obsessively stalk your competitors, you may never start a clothing brand, but you might start something, a snack company, an energy drink company, fitness company, etc. Look at the way that Dixon built themselves. Look at the culture behind it, how Danny built something in just 10 years to do 100 million. That's crazy. So check them out as a brand. And also, as you guys know, every time I like to end it to talk about the fact that we grew up thinking it's rude to talk about money. And I think it's rude to not talk about it. We need to talk about rent, leases, sales, invoices, taxes, FICO, credit scores, and everything in between, because otherwise we just don't know, because we don't have these conversations. So have the discussions with your friends, family, and followers. Check us out on themoneymondays.com, the Money Mondays podcast. Subscribe, like it, share with your friends and family, and we will see you guys next Monday.